Thank you so much, Shane, for the kind introduction. My name is Sandra. I work at ARM. And for this presentation, I wanted to provide you an overview of the challenges that companies might face when navigating compliance through the AI landscape. Our company, ARM, is a semiconductor company. We sometimes act as an AI provider because we develop models now and then, but we mainly act as a supplier of computing components. So we are the middleman between the model supplier and the company responsible for end-of-product compliance. I will be focusing on the European framework because as a European is the one that I know the best. But please, this is not in any case legal advice, just sharing the experience. I'm hoping the challenges can resonate with you regardless of the jurisdiction. And I'm hoping that you find this fruitful and valuable. Feel free to ask any questions. Niyunji-san yesterday asked me why is that ARM is so active in the AI compliance group at OpenChain. I'm hoping that you can find some responses in this presentation. Basically, when we analyzed all the challenges, we concluded that the way through will be industry collaboration. So without further ado, let's start with a very brief overview of the EU AI Act. I'm sure most of you will be super familiar with this. It is basically structuring the legislation into two big categories. One of general purpose AI, which is the type of foundational model that can help perform multitude of tasks and can be later fine-tuned to be part of an AI system. And the AI system will be the full operational system comprising one or more models, the custom wrap, with planning, with goal setting, planning, and execution. Okay, and the legal principles applying both categories will be very similar, but we consider that only for general purpose AI, compliance will be a bit more scalable. And that is because since July 10th, we have the option as AI providers to adhere to the European Code of Conduct, which is basically a presumption of conformity that will ease the administrative burden. Other than that, one of the main core pillars of the Act is about safety. This is unquestionably the most important point. You can feel this focus not only in the Act, but all the materials that preceded and informed the elaboration of this regulation. And the other core pillar for me is rule of law, in particular the use that public authorities are making of AI technology, which is impacting the industry because we are the ones often providing the digital infrastructure for governments and for justice systems. Then other worries in the Act will be privacy, will be IP infringement, and the principle of non-discrimination. All of this together will conform the different categories of risk. And in both cases, for general purpose AI and for AI systems, the more we go up on the scale of risk, we are going to see bigger protagonism in safety and security, and also more specific granularity on the information being required. And for us, this is probably the most important point, because, again, I'm very sorry, this is not legal advice, but the way we have read the regulation is that this is not impacting in any way the way we design and build technology, because all the legal principles about transparency, safety, robustness, those were already embedded into the ecosystem. Those were grounded in the different industry standards, in the contracts with partners, in the jurisdictions around product liability, in the very different jurisdictions, in the very different, the frameworks about product liability. So, and we always have the expectation on clients to deliver safe and high quality technology. So for us, those principles were already embedded into our engineering processes, not because the Act told us so explicitly, but because these were grounded. For us, the main challenge was setting all of internal processes around this, around gathering documentation enough so that if a public authority knocks our door, we have everything that is centralized in one place, in the right format, that is comprehensive enough, etc. And those were the instances when we are acting as an AI provider. But I will tell you more later about our main role, which is supplier of computing components. There, the main challenge will be trying to see or trying to ascertain what is the expectation on us and whether the information we already provide to partners on a standard basis is enough or puts them in a good position to comply with these regulations. So before I tell you more about that, I want to tell you about the ARM AI Office, which is a body we have created internally and comprises people of different divisions: IT, procurement, engineering, patents, legal, etc. We all get all together and we discuss about these 4 things. One is the development of automation flows for use internally at ARM. The other is the procurement of AI tools by third parties, also for internal use. And then the 2 points I will focus today, which is instances where we are acting as AI providers because we are developing an AI system that we later distribute, and instances where we are accelerating the AI developed by a partner. So, if I focus on the first point about developing the technology, making it available in the market, we think that compliance should be structured into these 4 stages: design development, review and evaluation. If applicable, I say because this happens whenever we collaborate with a partner, so a partner develops some of the components we are going to integrate into AI system, but we will be the ones responsible for end-of-product compliance. And lastly, when the model is in the market, replying to all third-party requests around the operation of the deployment of the system. So, to give you details about each of these stages in particular, during the design and development stage is the perfect opportunity for the AI office to check in with engineering and check all the inbound licenses, not only around model components, but around the different dataset, making sure there is a strong software provenance in the AI system bond template we are going to end up putting together at a later stage. And this is also the perfect time for legal to have an initial conversation with engineering and decide on the outbound licenses. So if we are making this model available, what will be the perfect way for that? I'm sure you might be familiar that European legislation actually provides a more vague definition of open source AI than the one we often find in the industry. This triggered a lot of conversations internally to try to determine what will be the right approach. So at this stage, we can hopefully have filled in all the relevant details in the AI system BOM template. It is important to note that according to the AI technology we develop, which we consider to be in more cases low risk, minimum risk, we think the transparency requirement will be already filled in by having the AI system BOM template. And to tell you a specific example, if you log into the ARM developer website, which is an education page we have to have people learning different skills to later use ARM IP, you are going to see there is a small field that you can personalize by telling what is your level of knowledge on a particular skill and what is the thing that you are trying to learn. There will be a very simple AI model running behind and trying to customizing a learning path for you to learn the particular skill. That was a very simple LLM that we put together. It didn't have a real-world application, so the scope was very narrow. Didn't really have a strong interactive window with the client or the user. So we consider in that instance, just having an AI system BOM template will be enough. But I will tell you different case so that you see the difference. So we also collaborated with different universities to try to put together an LLM that could help students at college to learn how to use ARM technology and to build a computer. For this LLM, when we reviewed it the last time, we were like, engineering, please let me know a user cannot build a bomb using this LLM. So in that case, even though also the model didn't have a real-world application, we consider the risk to be very different. On paper, it will fulfill the same category in the Act in both cases, but in this particular case, we felt like the transparency principle had to be met by telling the user exactly what is the information they need to operate safely and securely the system. And equally, we spent a lot of time doing testing, ensuring that it was okay for inappropriate content, ensuring that it will recognize a list of words and will stop replying. So, two different scenarios, same category according to the Act, our interpretation of the transparency principle was different. Also, I would like to mention that for AI literacy, which is a strong principle in the Act, we consider the information you need to provide the user is not only about the technical skills. Technical skills are important, but users need to know if an AI system is in any way threatening the legal interest of a person, that person needs to know what is the root, what solutions do they have at hand so as to help people accountable about these legal rights. Another thing that is interesting to do, I am now in the review and evaluation stage, is that if your technology is mature enough, you get for an assessment in the patents team, in our case. This is because EU AI Act confers a strong protection around trade secrets. So it's interesting to review your proprietary technology and try to determine if any of the information you are putting together in the AI system contemplate is worth it to keep it in-house. And then we also try to check together, okay, now we have the license, now we have the use case. Do we need to fulfill any additional obligations? For example, if we were to put this model in place in different territories. Then, once we collaborate with partners, in cases where partners are providing any components, we will have an assessment with engineering. Is there any information, technical access, support that we will need from the partner so that we could fulfill all the obligations in the Act? And finally is the stage of deployment. So the AI model is already on the website and we reply to requests from third parties. At this moment, maybe I would like to open the conversation later on. So far, the models we have been making available in the market, they don't train on user data. So this was a way for us not to have to deal with the personal data subject requests. But I will be interested in hearing your thoughts in the future if you have found any sort of way through dealing with this sort of third-party request. Then I am a bit mindful about time, so I'll be short. I would like to mention the instances where we are acting as a supplier of computing components. These will be cases where, imagine there is a company responsible for end-of-product compliance. It can be a smartphone developer. And we collaborate with a model developer who is integrating their model into ARM IP so that we provide the CPU, the GPU, the NPU that is meant to accelerate the AI system. And this all together goes into the final product, maybe the smartphone. So, you might be familiar with this article in the EU AI Act that fosters good collaboration among the supply chain. This spirit is even formalized in cases of high-risk AI systems, where it's telling us to enter into a writing contract. And maybe you have different views as well. The European Commission gave us updated voluntary contract clauses to deal this situation in the supply chain. But after analysis, we think these are a good baseline for evaluating the relationship between model supplier and company responsible for end-of-product compliance, so the AI provider, but these are not exhaustive enough to consider the role of the remaining third parties in the supply chain. For this very reason, we started participating in the AI compliance working group at OpenChain. We evaluated the situation with our legal and engineering teams. If we had to enter into a contract with each of our partners regulating this issue, that will be extremely complex, specifically in cases where the hardware is triggering AI capabilities from the software. And specifically in cases where this is also meant to be functionally safe systems. So we decided that, okay, maybe we should gather some insights from the industry, try to get what is the expectation falling on us, and try to assess with our engineering teams if the information we are already providing to the partner puts them in a good position to fulfill these obligations. But this is, of course, an open conversation. We would love to hear from you. If you are ever interested in taking part of this working group, we would like to hear more about model developers, AI providers, and continue the conversation. So with this, I will pass it on to Jimmy to give an assessment of the AI system bomb template.